Can-Am Racing Series spans the North American continent. It is sprint racing in its purest form. Only the most professional, serious, and dedicated teams with the most talented, daring drivers can hope to win. Millions of dollars are spent to eliminate luck from the serious business of succeeding in this, the fastest and most prestigious road racing series in North America.
We're just moments away now from the start of the Labatt's Blue Can-Am here at Mosport. It's the fastest field in Can-Am history here at this track. The cars are now out on their pace lap, being led by Al Holbert and Al Unser Jr. Both drivers shattered the track record during qualifying. They're coming down for the start.
As the flag fell, the quickest to react was Al Unser Jr., whose white Gallus GR3 gained a few precious feet over Holbert's red BDS that enabled him to win the jam into corner one. Behind these two came Danny Sullivan's March and 21 other cars, a mixture of 5-liter racers like most of the leaders, smaller 2-liter cars, and for the first time, some rebodied Formula One cars, trying to beat the big Chevys with their small 3-liter Ford Cosworth racing engines. At corner 3, Unser held his lead. Holbert, the series point leader, was second. Sullivan passed in third, while fourth was John Morton. The rest of the cars streamed through as the leaders powered their way to corner 4. Unser shot into sight under the bridge at corner 4, then braking heavily set his car up for Moss Corner ahead of Holbert's VDS and Sullivan's March. Now ahead of the field lay the Andretti straight, their 5-liter Chevy engines pulling top revs in each of 5 gears. Unser, Holbert, and Sullivan would reach speeds of 180 miles per hour before they reach its end. Then over the crest of the hill, hard on the brakes but still in 5th gear, they hold their breath and aim for the S's, a tricky series of 3 corners, 8, 9, and 10, a series where the bravery of the driver must be tempered with restraint for best results. At the end of the first of 60 laps, Unser's car continued to lead Holbert's VDS, a car which last year had carried Jeff Brabham to the Can-Am Championship. This season, the 22-year-old Unser has been a revelation. His first year in the series started with the debut win, and since then he has driven fast and aggressively, with a maturity beyond his experience and age. The drivers behind him, Holbert and Sullivan, have a great deal more to lose than little Al. But here at Mosport, there was still a long way to go. Back in 6th place was the Ensign Formula One 3-liter car of Jim Crawford, who had driven to a fine 2nd place in his North American debut only a week before the Labatt's Blue, but on his first visit to Mosport had struggled throughout qualifying.
Particular corner that you find more difficult than the others here?
Apart from corners 1 to 10, I think the hairpin, I think you call it turn 5. That's quite exciting.
Now, you mentioned your car. It's basically a Formula One car with a body on it. How do you see it as comparing to the bigger 5-liter Chevrolet Can-Am cars?
We're giving away an awful lot of torque. I think that at the end of the straight, the speed's probably the same. But out of the corners, they've got an awful lot more power to put on the road, so they can pull away 4 or 5 car lengths instantly on me. But at the end of the straight, we're probably traveling at the same speed. Around here, it's maybe 4 or 5 seconds difference, because it is a power circuit. Up the hill there, oh, it's terrible.
From Crawford's point of view, we saw the ideal way of negotiating the S's, precisely hitting his apex on the perfect line through every corner. Crawford is a top-class professional, having earned his stripes in the heat of European formula racing. But here, on lap 2, he is still learning the tough Mosport circuit. Just behind him is the top 2-liter car, that of Sweden's Bertil Roos. In 2nd place was Al Holbert, but still leading, lengthening his lead slightly, was Unser, winner of the first Labatt's Blue Can-Am here in June. That race was run in the rain, and Unser's victory was largely attributed to some special hand-cut rain tires that his team had fitted. Today, however, there was no doubt. Unser and his car were the fastest combination on the track.
Al, you're on the front row, along with Al Holbert. You don't have the same years of experience as he does, but how would you characterize your driving in comparison to his? Are you maybe a little more aggressive?
Oh, I wouldn't say that. Al's pretty aggressive. You know, we both have really good equipment, and it's going to be a toss-up between the two.
Now, what about the comparison of your cars? Can you stay with him? Do you have the same power advantage?
Oh, yeah, I think they're pretty equal. He has a little bit more straightaway than I do, but I have a little bit more cornering than he does, so comes out basically equal.
First into the pits was John Morton. The 5-liter cars, like Morton's, must pit for fuel twice during the race, while the smaller 2- and 3-liter cars can, under some circumstances, complete the race without stopping. The Newman team watched expectantly as their driver Danny Sullivan approached and passed the pit. Sullivan is a highly experienced driver, one ideal to ask the perennial question.
What percentage of it do you think is car and what percentage is driver?
Well, I think when you get more to the top echelons of it, the drivers are all pretty much the same. It's just a matter of sorting out your car and getting it balanced and working right on that particular weekend and at that particular track. And I think, but all the drivers, I think that if you, for example, switch the Al's around and we all played musical chairs and changed cars, it'd all be about the same, you know. And they're both super competitive, and then obviously it changes as it goes down through the field, because I know that there are some cars that if one of us got in and drove would be faster than the other guy, but you know, everybody's out there trying to give it their best shot. So
now lapping slower cars, Unser still led. Only in Can-Am do drivers have the opportunity of competing on road racing circuits in cars with such power as these. Those who can succeed are naturals to progress to Formula One. No doubt these drivers hope to follow in the footsteps of Alan Jones, Teo Fabi, and KK Rosberg. Hot on Unser's tail was the series leader Holbert rounding Moss Corner, desperate to keep Unser in sight. Holbert poured it on, leaving the hairpin, but overdoing it, his car spun through 180 degrees just out of our sight. As yet unaware of the drama just behind him, Unser accelerated up the Andretti straight, his concentration fixed on the track ahead and the slower cars which must be passed on the way to the flag. Behind, Sullivan had capitalized on Holbert's misfortune, moving up into second place. With a fine recovery, Al Holbert had kept going and was only just feet behind the Newman racing car. The race was hotting up. For some 7 laps, Unser led. Well behind, Sullivan stayed just ahead of the pursuing Holbert, who then came into the pits. As Sullivan passed, extending his margin over Holbert, the VDS car pulled to a halt to take on fuel. Then, tires spinning, he returned to the race, accelerating through corner 1 and up the hill to corner 2.
Here at Mosport. Coming over the crest of the hill at corner 2, Al Holbert says is one of the most scary experiences in North American racing.
Every time you go through it, you think you should have gone into it quicker, and it's not quite flat. It's all but, in fact, what I'm doing, I think what most of the quick guys do now is just a little left foot brake for just to settle the car a tad, and when you do that left foot brake, you just lift ever so slightly. You may not even hear it in the tone of the engine. It's that slight. Every time you go through it, you think you should have gone through it flat, but when you come up to it, once you get over the crest of the hill, you are flat in it, and then it's pretty much a straightforward corner, except it's probably the highest and longest G-load of any corner on any North American racetrack.
Retiring at this point was Bertil Roos, whose car was off the track on the back straight. Roos was leading the 2-liter class, his retirement today a serious blow to his championship hopes. At Moss Corner, Al Unser Jr. still enjoyed a lead over Sullivan and Holbert, though soon both these cars would have to pit. Slowing down, refueling, and re-entering the race takes 30 seconds. But what no one will know until the car has come to a halt is whether the tires will have to be replaced, a process which, if necessary, would easily see changes in the front positions. Just minute maladjustments in setting up the cars can cause great differences in the rate of tire wear, and many races have been won and lost by less than the margin caused by a tire change. The Unser crew waited, but first in was the 2-liter car of Scott Goodyear. Hot on his heels came Sullivan. Paul Newman's Budweiser team, led by Barry Green, are among the best in the business. They sprang into action as Sullivan's car came to a halt. Fuel gushed in. The tires were checked and found okay. Sullivan rejoined the race in a cloud of smoke without losing his advantage over Holbert. Soon it would be Unser's turn to pit. His crew, too, are experienced, efficient, and well-rehearsed in the art of getting their star driver back into the race in the minimum time. Sullivan, his first pit stop completed, was a little more than 30 seconds behind Unser. If Unser refuels only and the stop proceeds without incident, he could retain his lead, but it would be close. It was a perfect pit stop. Unser was only stationary for 5 seconds, and Sullivan, though closer, was still behind, some 15 seconds in arrears. Following was Holbert, ready to take advantage of the slightest mistake Sullivan or his crew might make. With half the race over, drama was building at Mosport in the Labatt's blue Can-Am.
Budweiser salutes the people who keep Canada on the move.
Our best for you. There's no one else who does it quite the way you do. For all you do, this Bud's for you.
Yeah, this Bud's for you if you like your beer with a clean, crisp taste. The Beechwood Age Budweiser taste and smoothness you'll find in no other beer brewed in Ontario.
For all you do,
this Bud's for you.
Somebody hears he's got a problem.
Somebody's worried about his dough.
Somebody hopes it's nothing major.
I know where to go.
Be somebody, come to Speedy.
A clamp, a simple clamp, and they didn't even charge me. Speedy took me straight to the problem and not to the cleaners.
Be somebody, Speedy, come to Speedy, place to go. Be somebody, come to Speedy, place to go.
Next week on Sports Weekend, a close personal look at the athletes of the upcoming Commonwealth Games. Brisbane, the athletes, an informative preview of potential stars. Brisbane, the athletes, and 2 live horse races next week on Sports Weekend. Now, back to the Labatt Blue Can-Am race.
Entering corner 3 on lap 35, Unser still enjoyed a lead, but not one which would have allowed him to relax in the slightest. Behind, Sullivan powered around the corner, then disappeared from sight towards corner 4, just ahead of Holbert, who was only 4 seconds behind. Unser was by then at the hairpin, a corner with a famous history.
This is corner 5 at Mosport. It's better known as Moss Corner, named after the legendary Sterling Moss, who designed this portion of the track. He changed it from one very tight 180-degree turn into 2 90-degree corners. It's one of the few places on the track where the Can-Am drivers are able to pass. They come under the bridge, hit through corner 4 at about 140 miles per hour. Then they climb all over the brakes, and it's while they're under braking that they can pass another car coming into this very tight section of the course.
They're flat out in 5th gear, down the hill. You've got to hit the brakes very hard for the little rise at the beginning, and then you've got to stop again just after it for the hairpin corner. And my car was very light over the first bit, and it's all in the air and it's all sideways, and I've got to stop it then a little bit more to get onto the straight. That's the most exciting one for me anyway.
Up the back straight, Crawford had fought his way into 4th place, still learning the subtleties of a fast lap at Mosport, but he was discovering that the power disadvantage of his 3-liter car had not been sufficiently offset by its lighter weight. One of Crawford's sponsors is a company that manufactures carbon fiber, a super strong featherweight material which has a special use in racing.
If motor racing wasn't quite so dangerous, it wouldn't be nearly as appealing to a lot of the drivers. But nonetheless, they're still trying to minimize the risks. And part of that is a new technology involved in their fireproof racing suits. Jim Crawford has the makings of a brand new fireproof suit here, developed by RK Carbon Fibers. It was developed originally, Jim, from the carbon fibers used in the bodies on race cars and also in the aerospace technology. Now, you've got a couple of layers here of this suit wrapped around your hand. We're going to take a blowtorch right now, which is turned up at very high temperature, and you can see what it's doing to the suit. Now, Jim, are you feeling any heat from this at all?
No, nothing at all yet. It'll probably get warm after about a minute, but you'll see it doesn't destroy the fabric at all. It keeps it all in one piece, which is quite helpful, really.
And of course, it won't burn or char or anything once you take the flame away from it.
No, it's the, if you take the flame away, you see it smokes a little bit, but it's normal. It doesn't disintegrate. It still feels quite cold. Imagine if you're covered in this from head to toe, you're a little bit better off than the guys with the normal Nomex stuff.
When you jam on the brakes in your family car, you have a certain peace of mind knowing that you're surrounded by 2 tons of bodywork and engine. But all Al Unser Jr. has between him and a cement wall is this flimsy arrangement of tubing in the front of the car to hold the fiberglass body, and a mere 6 inches of chassis in front of his feet, which are sitting on these pedals directly in line with the front wheels. In a race car, more attention is given to speed than to safety, and that's the reason his feet are so close to the front of the car. With the heavy weight of the engine in the back, it's absolutely imperative that the race driver be as close to the front as possible. With me is Dr. Hugh Scully of Toronto, the leading North American race physician and advisor on motor racing safety and rescue. Hugh, here at Mosport, in the event of an accident, you have a number of facilities here to aid the driver.
Yes, we do, Paul. We have a lot of expert marshals around the course, and scattered around the course also in vehicles and on foot are physicians with resuscitation kits who have a special interest in race medicine. To back that up, we have special ambulances and rescue crews who can go to a scene of an accident and assist.
Hugh, motor racing is generally considered, and probably justifiably, to be an extremely dangerous sport. You've seen some accidents and been involved in the danger aspect of the sport probably closer than anyone. Would you consider it to be the most dangerous?
Well, it is apparently dangerous in that it's very much in the public view with the television coverage. But in fact, racing is less dangerous for the drivers than your and my driving north and 400 for a weekend.
With Unser still leading, Danny Sullivan was in second, with Al Holbert closing in third place.
Two-thirds of the way into the Labatt Blue Can-Am here at Mosport. Unser Jr. is still leading. As he crests the hill here at turn 7, he's hoping and praying that nothing will break on the car, which could cause a disastrous accident at 180 miles per hour. An accident exactly like the one his father had in this very same place just a few years ago.
Miraculously, Al Unser Sr. walked away from that terrifying crash in 1978, which had been caused by a suspension failure. But today at Mosport, drama was building. The second rash of pit stops were nearly due, and Sullivan now had a lead over the tenacious Holbert of only slightly more than a second. Up the back straight, Holbert left the only car between himself and Sullivan and set about narrowing the gap still further. Corner 5, Jim Crawford, lapping the slower 2-liter cars, was himself about to be lapped by the race leader. The speed differential between the cars is and always will be one of the most difficult aspects of racing. Not only for the big cars, but for the smaller, slower cars too. A driver of such a 2-liter car is Charlie Monk.
Charlie, in addition to the normal pressures of racing, you have some added pressures in that you're driving a smaller 2-liter car on the track with some of the big Can-Am cars. Does that cause some problems for you?
Sure does. There's one problem. It's the fact that you have to look in your mirrors all the time. You have to find out when they're coming by, not only because you could bump into them or they could bump into you, but in the extremely fast corners like 4 and 8, when they do come by you, they disturb the air so much that you lose the downforce in your wings in the front and the back, and the car gets sideways and starts to move all over the track. So it's a bit of a handling problem. There's no doubt about that.
Into the pits came Sullivan for his second stop. Once again, the Newman team performed faultlessly, but not before Holbert retook second place, as Sullivan left in a cloud of smoke in hot pursuit. Unser, still in first, had a lead which, with a normal fuel-only pit stop to come, would ensure his advantage. But Holbert, now in second, still had to make his second stop. And with a lead of only a few seconds, he could expect to lose his second place. At corner 5, he passed Paul Macey's Lola off the track with a blown engine and powered off up the straight as Macey retired, leaving oil on the track. Holbert left the track and entered the pits as Sullivan, hot on his heels, appeared. Holbert's pit stop was faultless too. But as he left and re-entered the race, Sullivan passed, retaking second spot. Now the time for the leader's second pit stop came due. Once this hurdle was overcome, Unser would have a clear run to the checkered flag. A win here would vault him back into the Can-Am Championship lead. In the pits, the tension grew as Sullivan rounded Moss Corner, surrounded by lap cars, with Holbert just behind. In the pits, Unser played his part, coming to a halt at exactly the right place. As the crew refueled the Gallus car, Unser kept the engine running, thinking no doubt of Sullivan's charge up the back straight. But he was back in the race before Sullivan had appeared at corner 8. At corner 3, Unser lost precious seconds as he struggled to pass a lap car. But at this stage of the race, with the lead he now enjoyed, caution had become the byword. Only mechanical problems or foolishness could now keep him from victory. While Sullivan and Holbert are straining themselves and their cars on the very limit, Unser is trying to contain his enthusiasm, nursing the car, clinging to his lead while he listens apprehensively to every sound and vibration, real or imagined.
With just a few laps remaining in the Can-Am here at Mosport, Danny Sullivan has a second place position, but he knows that a mistake in these technically very difficult corners known as the S's could cost him second place prize money.
You have to flow a little bit with it, and you have to get 8 right, and if that one's right and you don't get too far out of shape, then 9 flows pretty good. But again, if you get that way out of shape and get over too far toward the pit entrance, then you're going to really be loused up for corner 10.
With 1 lap to go, Holbert was breathing Sullivan's exhaust into corner 1, while Unser, already at corner 3, continued in the lead. But by now, all eyes were on the struggle for second place, where only feet separated Sullivan's march over Holbert's VDS. The slightest miscalculation on Sullivan's part would let Holbert through. corner 5, Sullivan and Holbert were still together, less than a car's length apart. Then, as they accelerated out of Moss Corner, Holbert made his move, trying to outpower Sullivan and pass him on the outside. But there was no room. With a cloud of dust and a banging of fenders, Sullivan shut the door. Holbert lost vital feet, but he had not given up, powering up the straight in pursuit of Sullivan. At the line, Unser took the win, a deserved victory for a faultless performance. While in Sullivan's pit, the crew waited, watching to see who would come into sight first. Their jubilation told the whole story, and Sullivan took second spot, while Holbert, in a desperate attempt to pass, had spun out at corner 10. He kept his motor running and took third spot. In Unser's pit, jubilation. Congratulations for a job well done. Luck had been with him, but in racing, luck follows those who earn it. Unser's win took him back into the Can-Am Championship lead, and incidentally, made him richer by $24,000.
Al, a hot and tiring race for you. Was there any point where you felt your lead was threatened?
No, not at all. Al was, I got him on the start, and my front end was pushing a little bit, and I made a bar adjustment, and I just kept him far enough away that he couldn't get me on the backstretch.
That's 2 Can-Am races at Mosport for you now. Have you got a streak running here?
I sure hope so. It'd be nice.
Sullivan's second, his third of the season, was richly deserved. At the Labatt's Blue Can-Am, we'd seen an exciting race, a race happily unmarred by accident, a race which no one present would ever forget.
Well, Unser Jr., one of the young lions we talked about earlier, and he has all the talent to become one of the greats. And incidentally, Michael Andretti, son of the famous Andretti, as you know, who won at Indy and was the World Driving Championship just, a couple of years ago, Mario. He has a son, as we said, Michael, that's going to be one of the top ones, too, just a youngster. Well, we'll see what happens in a moment.